Did you know that 85% of marriages end in divorce?
What?
According to Jax Taylor, that is.
Are we really taking marriage advice from Jax Taylor?
No, we are not. But we have a lot to talk about this week. Are you ready to get down to reality?
Let's get down to reality.
Welcome to Down to Reality. I am one of your hosts. My name is Ro, also known on socials as Reality Ops.
Hello, I am your other host. My name is M, also known as Connection Queen X on social media.
And boy, do we have an episode for you. We have so much stuff that happened this week and so much to go over. First of all, we're going to talk about what Jax said, and we're going to get into Jax and Brittany and everything that's going on with them because there's been a lot, but we got some alleged confirmation on is he cheating or is he not cheating. We're going to talk a little bit about the Valley. We're going to go into the Rachel allegations a little bit and the new allegations that she said on her podcast saying that Sandoval groomed her. Okay.
I know. Yes, we will.
And then we're going to go into our recap for Vanderpump episode 7. Yes.
7.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to look at my notes because I always write at the top of my page. Yes, it's 7.
Season 11, episode 7. And we'll go into a recap, but we're not going to do like a full crazy recap of every scene. We're going to just say our general thoughts about everything because at this point, we didn't get to podcast as early as we normally do. It's been almost a week. Well, it hasn't been a week, but it feels like it's been a freaking week. It's been long enough that there's been a lot out there and we just want to talk about what we feel passionate about. And we did ask you guys what you wanted to hear about and we'll make sure we cover those topics. Like for one, justice for Katie. How we feel about Ariana.
Justice for Katie. Yes.
Justice for Katie. Scheana and her Dancing with the Stars comment. Lala and Ariana, just the dynamics with the girls. I guess we'll throw the guys in there a little bit. Just a little bit.
Tad, sprinkle.
Yeah. And we will cover all of that. The chances of us getting delirious by the end of this are quite high because we had so much to talk about. But I want to let you guys know I am going to put chapters for this episode. I will write in the description where the timestamps are so that you can go to different sections since it'll probably take you a couple listens to run through everything. Ready to get started?
Yes, let's get into it.
So, Jack's statistic, he said on his last podcast, not the one that released today, that he's like, literally, he said the word literally 85% of marriages end in divorce. 85% of marriages end in divorce.
Like, do we fact check him right now?
I looked up, it's between 30 and 50%. People usually say 50%. I don't know where the heck he got 80. Even in California, by the way, it could be 50%. But most places, 40 is like a good general rule of thumb, like a more honest percentage.
Right.
He really thinks 85% of marriages end in divorce? That's a negative ass outlook for marriage.
I was just about to say that is so negative. Like if somebody were to say to you, just saying like, hey, you're going to have a surgery. There's an 85% chance you're not going to make it. Are you going to be hopeful about that? Do you know what I mean? It's just like, Jax, come on.
It's ridiculous. But we talked about this last time. I was really upset. I felt like I got jaxed because I was believing what he was saying that, well, first of all, I believe that they weren't like really separated. However, they're living separately. They're figuring things out and working on things. But I was worried about the cheating things, especially after seeing the episode with Katie and Lala talking about it on Vanderpump Rules this week. However, they did confirm on their podcasts today, Jax and Brittany, and Kristen was on the podcast with them also, said that he has not cheated. And they were very adamant about this. And I know you didn't get a chance to see the after show. Poor Em had like a really crazy week.
Yes, I did.
It was a hard week. So she did not get a chance to see the after show. But literally everybody on the Vanderpump cast that was there, which was Kristen, Lala, Scheana. Oh, I guess Kristen's not Vanderpump. But everybody who was there, plus the Valley, they were all saying Jax isn't cheating. They were like, there's no way he's cheating. He's with everybody all the time. Kristen has, not Kristen. Oh my God. It feels like Kristen's his wife too sometimes. Brittany has access to all of his passwords. She has access to his phone, which he looks at all the time, which people had a lot to say about that. the fact that she has to look at it, like, sucks.
I know, that
Um,
also kinda bothers me though too, because I'm like, "Ugh, isn't that a red flag?"
it
Or
yeah.
no, I don't know, because other people might see that differently. Like, maybe some people do need to have that in order just because they have their own insecurities, I don't know. For me, I'm like, that makes me feel like you guys don't trust each other.
Right, I don't know if it's necessarily about the cheating, but it seems like she has access to his phone for whatever. I mean, I have my husband's password, my husband has my password, we don't go looking at any,
But that's
I
what I
don't
mean,
need
like,
to.
it's one thing to, like, have access in the sense of,
Yeah.
like, you know each other's passwords, but, like, going through everything like that, you know what I mean?
Right. I think they said she has his emails and all that. I don't know if it's just to keep up with work thing. Who knows? I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit of both, right? I would think. I would think if you're Jax
Probably.
with
Okay,
Jax, it's
also, they
a bit of
do
both.
have the podcast together, they do business together, so there's that to take into consideration as well.
Yeah. It's not healthy. It's not a healthy thing to do, but if it's for those type of reasons, but that's what she's doing. And Zach, who's on the new show, was saying he's like, Jax is not cheat, like very matter of fact. I think he said there's no way Jax is cheating. They were also saying he wouldn't do that to Cruz because he loves Mina to Cruz and he wouldn't like
Right.
chance anything. They literally said,
And
even
also,
Luke said it.
being a dad is very different, I feel like, and I'm not a parent, so I can't really speak, but my perception of it, being a dad is very different than being a partner or being a friend, you know?
Yeah, agree, agree. So anyway, so that was that. The other thing, it was like kind of telling us without telling us, but they were saying that Jax has these outbursts. And first Jax brought up, oh, I wish we had confessionals, kind of like Jersey Shore type confessionals, where right after scene you go and talk about what just happened, because they were saying these confessionals happened 6 or months more after actually filming and that they forget about how they were feeling, and then they have to go in that headspace of how they were feeling during that time, and that it's hard to do, which makes sense. That would be so hard to do. How do you do that? How do you
I
do that,
don't
right?
I really don't know.
It's weird too because I believe I also heard that they don't show them the scenes, they just talk about them. So when you think about it then, I wonder just how accurate those confessionals are. However, I guess it's good because then you know how they're feeling after the fact, like months and months later. So that's how he
Okay.
got to saying that he has a hard time in moments not going like all crazy. And Kristen was saying how she has her names for herself. I think she said like period Patricia. Like how she acts
Stop.
when she's on her period. It was something Patricia, period something Patricia. It might have been paranoid period Patricia. It was really funny. And then crazy Kristen and something else she had said. But and she's talked about Tequila Katie and she was trying to find a name for Jax and she was like, I don't know, jacked up Jax. Like, what is it? I think we could just say Jaxed up. I feel like that sounds good, Jaxed up.
Yeah, honestly,
But
I loved when you said you got jaxed, that was the best for me.
oh yeah, because I felt like I did. But then I felt better today hearing this.
Absolutely, we got validation.
Yeah, because my gut was like, I mean, who the fuck knows? But my gut was just saying it really doesn't seem like cheating just because Jax made that comment on the post saying, really, after everything or something. Like he was like, I'm not going to cheat at this point. That statement just stuck to me. And I felt better hearing him on the podcast with Brittany. I'm like, okay, he has changed. He's definitely Jax in his anger issues. And that's what they talked about. They were saying that he goes for the jugular when he's mad at people and it upsets people. Upsets Brittany. And they were saying that's something that they're working on and he needs to work on. And he's literally said, I don't want to self diagnose, but I think there's like something wrong with my brain. So he felt
Okay.
yeah, and he's like, "I think I need a pill," and he said that he tried weed before and that it didn't help, and Brittany was saying how she gets anxiety with weed, and basically they're working on figuring something out because he knows that it's not good the way he acts, and Brittany was giving him credit saying that because he's like, I'm like 45, you can't change at 44, 45, and Kristen's like, "That's bullshit," and Brittany's like, "That's not true," and it's not true. I don't know where he gets that mentality because it's
Yeah, because
absolutely
it's
not
so
true.
limiting. That is such a limiting mindset.
It is very limiting. So he's going to try to work on being better. And I guess we'll hear more about that. Jax always kind of just goes hard when he's in his fits. I wonder if that rumor, do you remember there was that rumor about him shouting at somebody at Jax's Studio City? I believe it was the person who made the website against Brittany and Jax. Somebody had made a website for Jax's Studio City and took their name away from them before they could form a website. And on the website, it was trashing Jax and
Yes.
Brittany. Okay.
Yes, I do, yes.
So the rumor, although we don't know, there might be rumors in
Oh,
our
okay, I'm
season.
sorry, I have to say, every time you say the word rumor,
It's
bro,
impossible.
I'm sorry, I always think of Meredith. I do.
Yeah, it's impossible not to. So, the rumor was that he was screaming at somebody at the bar. So, I kind of do wonder if that contributed to Britney's stuff with him because Britney is very much now I know people give her shit from the past, which I don't know, I never fully understood that because I do feel like she chose to love him. And you know what? I'm very different. For me, if somebody cheated on me, I would be like, "Get the fuck out of here, and I'm never talking to you again." That's the way I think I would be. And I when somebody did cheat on me when I was much, much younger, that's the way I was like, "Fuck you, bye." The reason why I brought that up is just because I feel like Britney with Jax, it was like the same idea. I'm always like, "You can't fix them. You can't fix them." But some people need to be there for those people. It's not like nobody should be with those people, and people who have it in them to be those people to try to fix, I guess, like, all power to you, and I always felt like with Britney, she made that decision, just respect her and go on with it, you know what I mean? Doesn't mean that she's stupid, doesn't mean she's a bad person. I actually feel like good for you for sticking by him because she felt like there was enough love there to stick by him, and I hope he turns his shit around, but because she was saying he really had changed when he had Cruz. And she was giving him credit for how much he's changed, and she's like, "You still can go. There's still a long way
Right.
you can go," and giving him that credit. Might be something for him that could help him more than what he's doing right now, but, like, actually be significantly more helpful. Do you know what I mean? Like, if he actually got assessed or
Right, and, like, I feel like, in that one recent TMZ interview that Britney did, she made it kind of known, like, "Hey, I really do want this to work, it's just he needs to put in the work now. I
exact
I'm doing my part, I really need him to do his part," and she said it so respectfully too. I thought that she was very kind during that interview, and she is still protecting their union together, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so anyway, to the Valley. We're not going to talk much about the Valley because there were clips that came out that showed the new episode that's going to be coming out Tuesday. Again, if you don't know this, Vanderpump Rules is going to transition into the Valley, and it looks like it is that scene that I said. I think it's the one with Jax at Tom Tom with the Toms in the back room where I had the behind the scenes of on my video where they definitely get into some type of argument.
Yes.
So
Yes, good.
it looks like it's going to go into the Valley from that
Wait,
scene.
question though. Did you for a second, like low key get like a little excited because were you like the band's back together, but then you remembered all the shit that happened? Or is that just me?
Um, I don't know if I looked at them as the band, but that's definitely your type of
You know what I mean? I was
cute
like,
thought
oh my
process.
God. And then I was like, oh my God. Okay.
Y
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. They're so fickle. They're little fickle pickles. Um, and Jack's like Jax is so fickle with Sandoval. Like, he's fickle with everyone. Kind of like Lala, actually. He was bringing up on the podcast today how similar he is with Lala and how hard they go for people. And he's like Scheana, and then he's like, actually, Sheena's not like that at all. I'm like, no, Scheana does not go hard for people. She has her own things, but she does not go hard for people. But Jax like hates Sandoval and then likes them and then hates him and then is like, oh, Sandoval. Like, I don't know. There's an empathetic heart deep in that, like, hard, obnoxious shell. Do you see that or no?
Like, oh, yes, absolutely.
Do you
But
feel that how
also,
do you feel about Jax? We never talked about that.
yeah, a great point. I was going to say, I feel like, and I'm saying this out of so much love, I feel like Jax is still trying to figure out who Jax is.
Yeah.
And I think that that manifests in issues within his relationships, his romantic relationships, friendships. And I think we've seen that. And obviously, we haven't seen them for a while, but we're going to see him again. And, I feel like he wants to know who he is, but he doesn't yet know who he is. And that's kind of hard. That is kind of hard.
It is hard. And, I was gonna say I don't know why I have a soft spot for him, but what I realized is, like, what I was actually remembering that I was trying to say before that I forgot, is that whenever a person wants to be better and do better and, like, tries and gets help or works on themselves, I will always to me, I will pretty much always, unless they're like a sociopath, which who knows,
Right.
I will give them credit and I will give them grace and I will like root them on. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
I have so much more respect for somebody who can actually acknowledge that they need help. Again, I'm like hyper vulnerable. I'm an advocate of like, I need help. Please help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really respect when others can be like, hey, I need help in this area.
Yeah.
You just gained so much respect from me. And I not only want to help you, but I want to support your growth during that time, you know?
Right. That's how I am too. And I think that's why I know some people hate him, some people like him, some people I don't know if I'd say people love him, but people appreciate him because of his character, but I do. I have a soft spot. I have a s I have a I have a soft spot for anybody trying, and we've talked about this before. I do show empathy for Sandoval in certain moments, even though I can't stand him in most moments. But the thing that bothers me the most about him is his lack of actually getting help and actually changing and making a real difference.
Right.
That shit
Being
pisses me off.
better. Just being better or
Being
trying
better.
to be better. Like, and not better than anyone, just better than the person you were the day before, you know?
Yeah. And I don't mean people who make broken promises or who say they're gonna be better and then, like, keep not doing it, not doing it, not doing it. I mean people who put in the fucking real work. That's what I mean.
Yep. And the
Okay.
hard work, like the actual hard work.
The
Yes.
hard work, because it is hard work. It is hard work. Also, I'm thinking about in my head how it's so funny because Jax could possibly be a sociopath. He failed that sociopath test that Stassi gave him, which was so funny. And when he got his results, he was like, "Oh shit." But let's hope not. Okay. So Valley previews, they looked funny. What did you think?
The Valley are you kidding me? Okay, so here's the thing. After the last 7 weeks of Vanderpump, I needed this. I am
Yeah.
feeling very distraught, so I just feel like the Valley is, like, giving me what I wanted.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
it's
I
filling that void.
Right. I think with Vanderpump, we needed to get through the hard shit though in order to come out a little bit lighter, but it was not fun to go through. It's just like in your real life, you're like, oh, I don't want to do this shit, you know? But it was definitely more boring. It was definitely more somber because I think everybody was like in that place more. But yes, I agree. I'm in for the light. But first of all, I was very surprised how much it looks like Vanderpump. I didn't know they were gonna make it that much like
No, no.
Vanderpump.
And remember last time we spoke, you were like, "Oh, yeah, they're doing the crossover and everything." I got all excited. Like, I definitely do feel like there's a heavy VPR influence. I didn't realize that it was gonna be like that, but also not for nothing.
Yes.
Jax, Brittany, and Kristen are back on it, and they are OG Vanderpump cast. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they're probably bringing a little of that. Like, you ready for this term? Je ne sais quoi, which is a French term for
Right.
like pizzazz. You know?
Yeah, I know because I watched America's Next Top Model. I love
Oh
that
my
shit.
god, the only reason I know that is because of a Lady Gaga song.
Oh, yeah. Little I say little Nia. So I love Nia. She looks like my cousin, and I just think she seems like such a pure I mean, I know this is the beginning, and this is only from, like, social media and stuff, but she just had twins.
Yes, yeah.
And she was talking about how she has a pump, and I really like her husband too, Danny Bucco. He just seems funny and, like, they seem like a good couple. Like, they actually seem like they probably have good conversations, like, talk about their feelings, but are light and funny and sweet and are gonna go through hard things too. But when she got so upset because Jax went up to Danny and pulled down his bathing suit shorts, thinking he had underwear underneath, but he was nude. And then Nia was really upset and started crying. How would you react in that situation, like, if you were Nia? I'm just curious.
Well, it's me though, bro. So,
Oh, God.
you know
You
what
would've been
I mean?
like, "Yeah!" Is that
I
what
just feel like I would have reacted and I would have processed after. Does that make sense?
Yeah, how would
Like,
you
I
have
would have
reacted?
reacted in the sense of like, "Oh my god, yeah," and then, like, maybe, like, 2 hours later, I would have, like, actually realized what happened.
Yeah. I think at first I was kind of laughing, like, "Why is she so upset about this?" But then I was like, "You know what? I would totally not want people seeing my husband's parts." And then there's cameras there, and also she's, like, newly postpartum. I'm like, her hormones are probably so hard right now, and from twins, and she's
See,
pumping, man.
that's another thing too. You know way more about that than I do. So, like,
Oh,
obviously, like, hormonal emotions come into play, which I totally understand and absolutely respect.
let me tell you, I triple fed, which means I wasn't producing enough milk, and it was really for me, personally only, I believe fed is best, but for me, I really wanted to breastfeed, I wanted to give breast milk, but I knew she needed formula supplementation too. So I triple fed, which meant I breastfed and I pumped, like, right after I fed her, I pumped while giving her a bottle at the same time. So if my husband was home or if somebody else was there, they were giving her a bottle. Otherwise, I'm, like, literally holding her and pumping and giving her a bottle. It's like it was crazy. It was
I've
crazy.
never heard of that term that you just said. You were
Yeah,
triple what was it? You were triple what?
it's called triple feeding or triple fed,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, I've never heard of that. Okay, that's very cool. I
I
like
didn't
learning
know until
new
I did
things.
it. I didn't even know it was a thing, and it was a ton of work, and I did that for 6 months until moving over to just pumping and formula, and let me tell you, it was, like, beyond difficult to do to do anything, okay? To do anything with a newborn is difficult. Then she has 2. And then you're pumping. Pumping is hard work. It's so beyond difficult. And you feel like a literal cow. Nobody prepares you for any of this. And credit to all you women out there who pump because I know how hard it is. And I hope you give yourself a pat on the freaking back because it is like a whole other level. And credit to any mom out there because it is the best, yet also the hardest job in the world. And we just do the best job we can. Anyway, I'm sure her hormones are probably out of control. She's probably exhausted and she was crying. I think I would have been upset. I don't think I would have cried, but it was a funny moment and also understandable why she'd be upset. Some tea about the Valley that we heard is that Jesse and Michelle do have issues. They're the other couple who has issues on the show. I mean, I think they're all gonna have their things, but
Right, yeah, I was gonna say all the couples were probably gonna see some trials and tribulations, but for them specifically, yeah, we're gonna see a lot of tribulations.
so we actually had to interrupt that podcast because today we got some updated information that was pretty important. So we're adding this little snippet into the podcast that we already have to let you guys know that because they had the Valley premiere last night, Jax and Brittany did a ton of interviews. And one of the things that we found out from Brittany through some of her interviews, but one in particular that she did with Page Six that I thought was super informative. And she confirmed also that it is not cheating. But they asked her, she said flat out, she was like, there's 4 things that are the reason why we're separated.
I can't with
And
your accent, I'm sorry, I love it. I've never heard it.
sorry, I cannot. I'm gonna try to do it without should I try to do it without the accent
No,
or
you
no?
have no, you have
Okay.
to do the accent.
Yeah.
Well, I just think of Brittany as rotten hell, you know what I
Well,
mean?
she said rotten hell. She was like, rotten hell. But she's like, there's 4 things that led to it. And he's like, well, can you tell me one of the 4 things? And she's like, well, yeah, he won't go to therapy. He refuses to go to therapy. And that to me is so
Mhm.
ridiculous. Get your ass to therapy. And the interviewer says, well, why? And she's like, well, he's been burned before by therapists. And I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. What does that mean? You've been burned by therapists? That's such a strange,
Yeah,
I
that
don't
is
know.
interesting, actually. It's one thing to, like, not have a compatibility with a therapist, that totally is valid,
Yeah.
but burned by a therapist, that's interesting language, you know?
Yeah. Okay. So they are having those issues. It's the anger, it seems like issues or outbursts or trying to go for the jugular with not just Brittany, but anybody. Then it's the intimacy thing, her feeling like he's not attracted to her. And she's like, I know I'm hot. And she was like, a woman just reaches her breaking point, and at some point, something just clicks, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to put up with this shit. It's not fair to Cruz, and it's not fair to me. I deserve more, and I realize that. Raw in hell. So I got myself an Airbnb, and I'll be there until he figures this out, which I thought was awesome. And just feeling like she deserves better, and her partner should want to be intimate with her, especially like somebody like Jax, who like seems to be
I
like
know.
sex addict. That's probably insanely hard. I guess we do know 3 of the 4 things, don't we? We do
Yeah.
actually. The therapy, the seems like anger issues. Oh, they also discuss how we see snippets of all their issues on the trailer. So one of them also she said is that she wants to have another baby and I guess he doesn't or maybe not yet. And I guess maybe probably not being home enough and I'm making that up. The whole thing whole time I thought maybe it's like the restaurant and having all these obligations, but not, like, committing to
Like
your
that
wife.
work-life balance,
The
yeah.
work-life balance, yeah. Okay, anyway, the other news that we got today was that Michelle and Jesse Lally, who are also on The Valley, have separated officially,
Mhm.
and something that I talked about in the past that I found out that they were separated or not together, but I will tell you guys something interesting. I did have somebody reach out to me a few months ago and they said that they were a different person said that they were out and Jessie Lally was there with Jax and that Jessie, she's like, it's really weird because I thought he was married. And I'm like, yeah, but I couldn't tell her what I heard. And she's like, because he was not acting married at all. She's like, he wasn't really coming after me, but he just was acting like this guy who goes after a lot of girls. And I was like, oh shit, and this was a follower. It wasn't a source where I know they're involved in the group or anything, but I thought that was very interesting.
And
Um,
yeah, like, I feel like some people also are just, like, super flirty and have that super flirty personality, but it's like when there's other things layered in, it's like, no.
yeah. So yeah, that's it. So already two couples on the valley are separated. Jackson and Brittany, they did say they hope to work on things. We shall see if he can get his ass doing the shit he needs to do.
Yeah, I'm like, "Jax, keep your eye on the prize." I just feel like she's given him a blueprint. "Jax, follow the blueprint. It'll
Right.
work."
Just do it. Okay, so that's the end of the part we added back in for you guys, and now let's get back to the regular podcast.
Okay, so should we get into the Rachel allegations and her newest podcast episode this week that just dropped, like, 13 hours ago?
We should. What do you think?
Okay, so,
I really
first
wanna know
off
what you think. I have no idea what you think. We didn't talk about this at
I know.
at all.
I know. First off, I have to say, Your Bish Therapist on Instagram is an account that I followed a few months ago. I forget what they posted exactly, but I was like, wait, I love their insight. And they have their medical background. Okay, I'm following. So I really do appreciate their thoughts, their perspective.
Yeah.
Um,
And she has a podcast also, which is very popular. It's Your Bitch Therapist podcast. So wanna say that also. I didn't find that out until recently. So that's
yeah,
probably really cool to listen to. Okay, so
yes.
what did you think?
I thought that the conversation first off, I was happy that there was a different therapist on the podcast because I do like to gain different perspectives. I did like that your bitch therapist is I'm putting in quotes an observer of the show as well as Rachel's podcast and everything.
Right.
Um but I don't know that I agree with the grooming. I don't know that I
O
agree with that.
Did you feel that right away?
Um, no, I didn't feel that right away. I did wanna give it an opportunity. I It's actually kind of funny. I just had to take a grooming, e-learning course for my job. Um,
Okay.
and
Wow.
I wanna be very transparent and honest here because I think it's
Mhm.
important. I thought it was gonna be about cleanliness and about showering and yeah.
I thought you were just gonna give us some insight into grooming.
Nope. So here's my whole point. I'm walking
Wait, hold
around
on, just stop for a second. Wait, stop. I need a minute to think about this.
no,
Wait, so
literally.
you thought you were gonna go into the podcast and she was gonna talk about cleanliness?
No, 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 my e-learning that I took a few weeks ago.
Oh,
So,
you went into your e-learning thinking it was about cleanliness.
yes, I've never heard the word grooming. I didn't know what that
Oh,
was.
gotcha. So you are gonna okay, I had to learn a lot about grooming. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. I had no idea
Okay,
what it was.
that's hysterical. Okay, so you do have some recent knowledge of it.
Yes, yes, that's why I was like, "Oh my god, this is crazy." I actually now I know what it is, but had I not taken that e-learning that is a requirement and a necessary requirement, I'm so thankful that my job provided me with that.
Mhm.
But genuinely, I hate to say this, I'm about to turn 30 and I did not know what that term meant. I thought it
But
was about cleanliness and stuff.
yeah, no, that's okay. Alright, so what did you learn?
From the e-learning, I my whole eyes were opened and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I really do see." I wanna say, speckles of grooming in regards to Rachel's podcast. I could see it, but I don't personally, again, I'm not Rachel. I did not live her experience. I don't see Tom as a groomer, and I was a little bit annoyed
Yeah,
that Lala used that term because listen,
I
is Tom
know.
a lot of things? Yes. But is he a groomer? I don't know that I agree that he's a groomer.
Yeah. That's good that you said that because the reason why I'm saying it's good because I have the same feelings, but we have
Wait,
not
but
talked
you
about
also knew
this.
what grooming was, right?
I know a lot about grooming,
You've
yes.
known what it is.
I've
Okay.
known what it is. I've known since I started teaching. I had to learn what it was at a younger age. I learned when I had a child, I was just like, I need to know everything. And I did learn also that it's not just a thing for children, it's for anyone who can be vulnerable or anybody who's in a state of basically of vulnerability, adults can be groomed. But yeah, so I knew what grooming was.
So when Lala, I just because can we go back really quick?
Okay,
When
so
Lala
what
did
Lala
say
said.
that, did you disagree right away, or did you kind of
So
understand where she was coming from?
when Lala said it, when I saw the whole thing with Rachel and the last 6 minutes of that finale, I initially thought, oh shit, like this is crazy. She looks like it. I wouldn't have used the word groomed, but she looked to me like she's been manipulated and that she fell for the bullshit. And I felt bad for her. But then when I rewatched it, like even the first time I rewatched that scene, because I watched the scene a bunch of times, kind of like deep dive into it, and I did videos on it a lot. Um, I was like, I still don't even believe everything she's saying, which we then later found out more. It just wasn't feeling right to me. And I never thought grooming. When Lala said it, my first thought was, I can get why she used that word because of what I initially thought the first time I saw the video, the confessional. However, Lala fights dirty, just like we were saying before with Jax. And I feel like she just threw the harshest thing at him, which I know, a couple people who do that in my personal life, throw the worst things and say whatever can get them. And
Yeah.
that's what they do. And Sandoval does the same shit. They both do it. We talked about this last time. They both do that shit. So I really felt like it was not the right term to use. And I worried. The funny part is I fucking worried that Rachel was going to use this and pick up on it. Because the thing I feel about Rachel is that she's extremely impressionable. So, in
Yes.
saying, right?
Yes. And I
In
think that's really important to just kind of like highlight, because I think that people who are impressionable kind of they act in certain ways that might not be like authentic to what they believe or what they're thinking or what they're feeling.
Right. Now, in saying that, you might say, well, somebody who's impressionable can be easily groomed. That's true. But the
Yes.
person who is, there's still a person who has to be grooming them who has that malice and that thought of wanting to, specifically manipulate and abuse them. And I don't think that that's what I don't know about the manipulation part. I do not think he intended in any way to abuse her. Not only that, this did not come up ever, ever until this episode of her podcast. She did not bring this up once. This has never been a fucking thing. Like, stop just grasping. Like, I feel like she's just grabbing anything that anyone says and using it. And I don't like that. I wish she would be able. I get it's hard for her. I guess it's hard for her, but I just feel like she's just using everything everyone else says and seeing what sticks. We're seeing what works and what hits, and I don't like it. I don't feel good about it. I did not agree with it, and I think Melissa Reich did a good job of saying that your bitch therapist, that's her name, of saying, I'm not going to label Tom Sandoval. I don't know Tom Sandoval. I am not his therapist. I am not your therapist. I'm really glad that she made a point to saying, like, I can't label this, but I want to hear your experience and this is how you view it and you have every right to how you view it. But then Rachel said flat out like, yeah, I think I was groomed by Tom Sandoval. And I'm like, oh, shit, girl. That's your statement now? I just wish she would have thought about it more before making that allegation. And I don't want to take anything away from her if God forbid like that's what really happens, but I don't know. There are children and adults who have been in situations of horrific grooming, and my fear is that these terms and labels start to get overused and then they diminish their importance when they're used more frivolously. And that's my concern. I just think it's a lot. It doesn't feel right for me. It just doesn't feel right.
It kind of feels calculated, especially with everything else that's come out.
Yeah, the allegations, I mean, are just out of control. But speaking about the Rachel allegations, I want to say Emily D. Baker, who is my favorite.
You love her.
Do you love her?
Well, I love her because you love her, because you said that she actually like brings the facts.
She
She
brings the power.
Yes, and yeah, I respect that.
And I did not know until she released this episode. I kept messaging saying, can you please cover this? She's a Vanderpump fan. So she actually knows this shit. And it was so fun. If you guys go on her, she has all social medias, but go on her YouTube. That's where she's really at. Go search for Emily D. Baker, and she covers the Rachel Leviss lawsuit, and listen to her go through that whole lawsuit because it's just so interesting. Just I mean, she reads it, we went through it a lot, but from a legal standpoint and her faces that she makes, you can literally tell she's cutting the camera at certain parts because after, like, Rachel says certain things, like, she was saying the same things we said, and then I was really proud of us because we're 2 girls who know nothing about this shit just from our own research, but she was like, "Why is she bringing James into this? Why is she bringing the dog into this? Why is she bringing, like, Bravo and Evolution so much into this when she's not suing Bravo Evolution?" It sounds like she's suing them, but she's
It does.
not.
Yeah, and it does.
And she brought up the poo-poo head, and it was so funny, I have to tell you, because she was like, "Poo-poo head? Wait a second. If it's my" she's like, "In my recollection that she called that, James called Sandoval poo-poo head, not her." And I was like, "Yes, we thought the same thing, but then we realized it was both of you, poo-poo heads." So, it was just so funny to hear somebody who likes Vanderpump, but somebody who is a lawyer and so good at this, and I love everything about her. I just love her. So, she's gonna be covering the case as it goes on. That would be great for us.
Please, yes, because I appreciate when people are able to kind of like, I wanna say water down legal jargon because sometimes
Mhm.
it's very confusing.
It is. I learned so much from her. I watched the whole entire Johnny Depp trial, like every fucking thing. I would literally fall asleep listening to Johnny Depp because his voice was so relaxing.
I
Listening to
know.
Johnny Depp on the stand. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. No, wait, that's so funny, yes.
Oh my god. And then I would
It's
follow
actually
her.
so funny that you brought up the Johnny Depp trial because I was watching that like, I was gonna say like a fly on ship, but I wanna say like white on rice, and my mom was like, "You should be posting about it," and I was like, "I don't post about" this was, back when it happened. I wasn't
Yeah.
it or anything. I was updating everyone in my life because that case was just so interesting.
Yes. My friend Nuha, I love her on TikTok. I know we keep like saying we love her, but I
I know.
love Nuha. Anyway, she told me that she started this with the Johnny Depp trial, and I was like, "Shut up." She has so many followers. I'm like, "Oh my god, I freaking wish I thought about starting a TikTok back then because I would have been covering that shit like crazy like you. Man, we could have met back then."
I know, I was thinking about that too.
That was
We
one of
met
the
at the
questions we
right
had.
time, though. We met at just the right time.
We did meet at the right time. Okay, anyway, I think it's time to get into the
Also, I
recap.
was gonna say, because we're talking about, like, Johnny Depp case and all that things, like, justice, I know you brought up justice for Katie, and I
Just
think that's a great point.
Justice for Katie. We're just going to take a quick break and give a shout out to Draw Me Bitch, the person who did our podcast artwork, who is amazing. Please check her out on Instagram and on TikTok. She also has her website, shopmebitch.com, where you can buy coloring books, stickers, gifts for all things Bravo. But she now has a subscription on her page, which gets you access to weekly Vanderpump coloring pages. Definitely go check her out. You will not regret it. And now back to the pod. Okay, so here we go into the start of our Vanderpump Season 11, Episode 7 recap. Okay, so justice for Katie.
Yes, justice for Katie, because I totally feel like this episode of Vanderpump Rules really highlighted something that I think a lot of people maybe overlooked.
Oh my god, I love when we have the same thoughts and we don't even talk.
I know.
It's like
And we
so
really didn't
weird.
talk because I had some crazy ish happen.
No, we didn't
So we
talk at
definitely have
all.
not talked about this.
No, I just love that. All right. What do you want to say? Go ahead, tell me, and then we'll
Well,
chat
I
it out.
mean, listen, like I said before earlier, I definitely I feel a type of way because I feel like the last two episodes, I finally got Vanderpump Rules, but this most recent episode, it hit for me. I was like, this is VPR. Like, this is what I was waiting for. And I just thought that there was a lot of great points that were highlighted throughout the episode between multiple different scenes. I also think that we got to see a little bit more insight about maybe what's going on in real life with
Hmm.
the cast.
Yeah.
What about you though? Like when you were watching, did you feel the same way? Were you like, yes, this is Vanderpump?
Oh, yeah, 100%. This episode was much more of like a mixed bag, and that's what I like about Vanderpump. It's more of like a mixed bag, like each episode. There's like highs, lows, some spooky joes,
And
funny
it was, I don't know,
parts.
for me, it was a little dragged out. The first like two episodes, I was like, all right, like this is like really like heavy. This is not why I watch, but I'm obviously sticking by it. I love my VPR.
Yeah. When Katie, Christina Kelly, nice to see her, Lala and Scheana went to that restaurant and they sat at the table, which I loved. I remember the behind the scenes of them last year looking all pretty and taking a picture outside that restaurant.
Yes, yeah.
When they were sitting at the table and they were having that conversation and they're talking about Sandoval. Now, if you have not listened to this podcast before, we really like to take an approach where we look at each situation individually. I mean, we look at each person as a whole. I mean, I will always love Katie. But like I said last week, I was a little disappointed that Katie was just kind of shutting Sheena's thought process down or Sheena's feelings down. But I'm like, I don't know why. I totally understood it from this episode. So Lala was saying that it's not fair that Katie was saying Scheana should be getting over it because Katie thinks Scheana should get over it because she thinks Sandoval is trash. And then they go into the other conversation and Sheena's like, I fucked that bartender and or had sex with that bartender or whatever. And then Katie like brings it up again. You can see that she can't get over the conversation. And she brings Sandoval up again, and Lala's like, we're over that. We're talking about Scheana fucking this bartender. And she's clearly not over it. And she's like, I wanna jump off this roof if we have to talk more about Sandoval. And she's in so much pain and says, I've never gotten an apology from this man in my life. He interfered with my marriage and he made everyone think I was a monster, including my ex-husband, I think. And her eyes, the pain, and I was just like, oh,
Um,
Katie girl. It felt
I
so
know it made me feel very deeply sad. It made me feel so many different things because I just feel like I had like a snapshot of the last like 10 years of Vanderpump, like just thinking about everything. And I was like,
yeah,
you are so valid in these feelings. And
so valid.
I just wish that, you know, when Sheena mentioned the whole comment about her boning the bartender, I just
Yeah.
wish that Sheena maybe would have, and again, this is like a whole communication style thing, right? Like, I'm a questioner person. So, like, if Katie would have said that, I would have maybe posed a question like, well, could we talk about it? Like, why are you saying that? Like, why are you letting me know that? I want to get to the bottom of this together. And instead,
Mhm.
I do think Sheena was trying to be a friend to Katie in that moment and be like, all right, let me switch the topic. But I think what
Yeah.
Katie needed as a friend in that moment was to be heard. She wanted to be heard.
Yeah. It made me realize that Katie is the exact opposite of Sheena. And we've talked about this in the past. I actually do we both like Sheena. I know she is flip-floppy, and I agree with that. But I also think we shouldn't label people as just like an always a flip-flopper. I completely understood her last week and her justification for wanting to talk to Sandoval. I completely understand that. I understand those emotions behind all those things. However, Sheena wears everything on the outside. She's always like, "Me, but how about me?" And it's always about how she's feeling on the outside, where Katie keeps everything in. And Katie rarely says how she feels, and it just comes out as what others view as bits of anger or bitterness. And it's not that, it's just like her protection, I think, her wall that she uses to protect her pain and her hurt. And I felt that hurt come out, and it was so hard because I didn't know that she really felt the way that we've all been saying, which is that Sandoval interfered immensely in their relationship. And I truly feel like if it weren't for Sandoval, Katie and Tom Schwartz would still be together, but they're not.
I know,
And
and she has to harbor, and I don't wanna speak for Katie, but some resentment, no?
towards Sandoval, of course, yeah.
Right? Like,
Of course. I mean, she's not gonna like him, like, that was clear. You're not going to Sheena, Lala should understand this, like, you're not going to get an understanding from Katie just the way you won't get it from Ariana because he fucked her over too. He fucked Katie over too, more than he fucked Sheena over, actually. He fucked Katie over. So don't come to her looking for understanding and sympathy about Sandoval because you're not going to get it because you don't need to. It just reminded me of like when there's somebody who really hurt me, and I had another person close to me decide that they were still going to talk to them. And I was like, oh shit, really? Like this person is terrible, was terrible to me, somebody you're supposed to care so much about and you're still even talking to them, it was just, like, incredibly painful,
mhm.
incredibly hurtful. So,
I feel like it's easier for the other party to compartmentalize versus when you are the party that was affected.
Yes.
You know what
It's
I mean? Like, I feel like it's I don't mean easier in, like, a necessarily easy way, but it's just it's a different experience. You haven't been directly affected.
yeah. I think in the next episode, I didn't watch a preview yet, but we're gonna get a conversation with Katie and Lala. I don't know how it's gonna go. Like, I just saw without sound a little bit of it. I'm not sure how that's gonna go. Hopefully, it's okay. But man, fucking this sucks. This girl has never had it be about her. Okay? To me, Katie has never had it be about her. So
Correct, I agree
Scheana
with that.
complains about this, and it's fucking Katie.
Yeah. No, literally though, but it truly has I feel I agree. It's never been about Katie.
And it's not fair. Like, that whole season last year was hijacked thanks to Tom Sandoval and Scannable. I wanted to go into that season last year, and by the way, that was an editor's choice too. Like, why didn't we see Katie and Tom Schwartz's situation more in the beginning of the season before they knew about the cheating?
Yep.
You know?
It
We
could have been
never
about Katie. Yeah.
It could have been about Katie, but instead it was about Raquel wanting to hook up with Schwartz. Nothing about what Katie or Schwartz even was going through, like, personally after a divorce. They showed one never before scenes scene that was really good, but they didn't air it on the actual show. They didn't get the moments at the reunion. Like, where is the justice for Katie? And I think Katie is
Integral part
sh
of the show, yeah.
she's an integral part of the show, like, and again, watching this back from season 1, I told you this, my husband didn't know anything about the Vanderpump Rules. He was watching it and he's like, "I love Kate." Like, Katie's his favorite besides Stassi because he thought Stassi was hysterical. But Katie was his favorite and he loves Schwartz. You know, he does love Schwartz. I have to be honest, he loves Schwartz. But he still would call Schwartz out on everything. Every situation between Schwartz and Katie, my husband would see as wrong on Schwartz's part. And it was. Watching it as a full-grown adult now, like,
I
not a
know, but I was gonna say
23-year-old, 25.
same. Like, okay, I wanted to ask you just because I am curious. What age were you when you started watching Vanderpump?
I guess it was well, it was how many years ago? I mean, I felt like I was young, but I guess I was 27?
Okay, I was 18 when I started watching.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
very, very interesting because when I'm a high schooler when I'm watching, right?
Right.
So I'm watching and I'm like, okay, this all seems fun and stuff, but I feel like the boyfriends aren't treating their girlfriends correctly. Like that was
Right.
my like
That's
little
so funny.
mindset. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really funny. What did you feel in that moment at the table with them?
It was a very real moment. And here's the thing again, I have advocated this. I am a person that can compartmentalize and see from different perspectives. I absolutely want to validate Katie in that moment because I thought it was so fair.
Yeah.
Everything she said, I agreed with. Now, in the same breath, there were parts of what Lala said where I was like, I could see where she's coming from. I just think it has to be communicated differently.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I feel. And we were more on the other side with it last week a little bit. Not more on the other side, but just understanding that side more because you could see both sides very easily, I feel like. I agree with you. How do you think she should have, like, communicated it?
Okay, first off, I thought she was very in defense. And I do think that Lala, a lot of the time, especially because of what she shared, she is on defense. That's like kind of her baseline, and I'm speaking informally, out of pocket, in the sense of like just my observations. I feel like she has a baseline of just being on defense mode.
Right.
And in that, her communication can be maybe aggressive, attackful. That's not necessarily, though, where she's coming from. She just happens to be on defense. So she could have
Yeah.
said something like, Katie, I absolutely hear what you are saying. And I feel like that is so fair. What you went through, and kind of just went into maybe a little mini monologue about Katie, validating her, and then transitioning to now you feel all of this, but in the same breath, Sheena is also experiencing and feeling this. And we're not denying what you are saying you experienced, and we even acknowledge it. Is there
Right.
any way you could acknowledge in the same breath that Sheena, she sees Tom. She knows that he is not the best person, but
Right.
it's difficult for her to unsee and unfeel past experiences with him
Yeah, she has a different relationship with him.
entirely.
Um, Lala cannot see what Katie is feeling, and she's not letting herself take a step back to understand Katie, and I hope that it happens this season. Is disappointing, because I just feel like if she would do that, she would understand it. So, Katie is a one-on-one type girl also. Katie
Yeah, I
and
agree with that, and I do think
right.
some people are more one-on-one.
Like, it's always been like that on the show for me. Like, when you see Katie in the one-on-one situations, that's where you get a more soft side of Katie. She tends to be more closed off when she's in the group and just not as vulnerable. But when you have her one-on-one, I feel like you get the vulnerable Katie, and I don't know, I hope Lala can be open to that. I hope that happens this season because I hope it's not that long in between it happening, you know?
And, like,
Um,
no, I mean, Lala and Schwartz, I feel like their conversations Lala hasn't been on. I'm
yeah.
a little confused, I guess, as to why she is so defensive towards Katie.
I think she might just feel like Katie is being too hard, like a too much of a hard ass about it, and being I
Okay,
think she thinks of it as her being bitchy, and it's just not that, and that's what we're seeing, like, it's just not that. It's that she's so hurt, and it's projected as, like, anger.
okay. No, I could see that too.
I mean, at least that's what I think, that's my analysis of it. But man, I love me some Lala, but
I
Lala
do.
really pissed me off at that last scene too with the girls.
No, I know, and I love Lala. I literally
I
love
love
Lala.
Lala, you know?
I feel like sometimes I'm like, "La, like, can we chat? Because I see you. I totally understand you, but I just feel like the world isn't getting it, you know?"
The last scene with the girls at the, by the way, we're going out of order, and that's fine. We're just talking about what we wanna talk about, and what we're gonna get to Scheana with the Dancing with the Stars, don't you worry. Um, but Lala, saying to Katie when Katie was like, "It's a bit much," and Lala's like, "You're a bit much all the time."
Okay, that scene though, as a teacher, I watched it and I was like, "Why are these 2 preschoolers fighting like this?" Like, their communication in that moment was not it. So for me, I saw that as like a communication breakdown. They
Yeah.
were not seeing each other at all. They were talking to talk and not talking to understand or to listen. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think I understand the other side of it more now though, like the Katie and Ariana, but I think I understand it a little more from the Katie part. I always understood Ariana, of course, but I think I understand the Katie part more where I'm like, Lala has to really understand that she wasn't hurt by this shit. Katie was. And not Sandoval. I'm talking about by Sandoval. Katie was. Ariana was, right? And Sheena was, but, like, Lala wasn't, and she's only sticking up for her friend Sheena here, and I think that she could instead really be a mediator between all of them and help them all through this, but no, I felt like the communication was off, but, I mean, Katie was funny, she was drinking a little bit, and I love when I look at Katie drunk, it's a mirror at me, like, Katie drunk is me drunk,
Did
so
we get a little tequila Katie? A little bit or no?
see, I don't feel like to me, it was just I don't know.
Tipsy. It was tipsy Katie. Okay.
Yeah, like, I love when she was like, "The cheese." Like, I mean, a little bit of Sissy Katie, yeah.
I was just so impressed by Allie, like, just with her communication, I felt like obviously in my profession, communication is such a big deal, and I always like to look at different communications and conversations with 1,000 different perspectives because I do think that most people are misunderstood and maybe they don't communicate in the way that they are intending to. I love Allie. I think she is such a great communicator. I think she's very grounded, and I love that she tried to facilitate a bridge between Katie and Lala, and it was a very intense moment too. Good on you, Allie. Instead of staying quiet, you said, "Wait, I wanna try. Let me try here. I'm gonna put this out into the universe. Let's see if it sticks." And I
Yeah,
just yeah, I give her so much credit.
I really love Allie, and she caused that moment to be better, like, she had Lala then apologizing basically to Ariana or just saying, "It's in my chart," like, "This is why I act like this," you know? Um, and which was I thought it was so funny, but then Katie's face at the end when Lala did apologize to Ariana, basically, or she said something to Ariana and understood Ariana, but, like, she was not having any grace for Katie or understanding of Katie, and then there's Katie again, never being fucking understood, and I'm like,
Yeah,
"What the fuck, people? Look at her, like, listen to her. Does she just need to be Schwartzed all the time? Like, is nobody gonna fucking defend her?"
but I feel
And
like it's because she's always had to prove her points because she was misunderstood that she gets this bitch label, and it's so the antithesis of that. Like, I don't think that Katie is an actual bitch, I just think she's misunderstood.
Oh, 100%. Somebody asked, like, "Is Ariana gonna stick up for Katie the way Katie is now sticking up for Ariana?" And I hope that's the case. I hope that Ariana does. I think right now she's not able to because of all the Sandoval stuff, but I hope she really goes to bat for Katie because Katie is being a really good friend to her, really good friend to her. And I think that Katie needs someone. She doesn't have anyone on the show to go to bat for her. Now she doesn't even have her husband who barely went to bat for her ever. But who does she have to go to bat for her? She needs somebody. So I hope that Ariana ends up being that person for her. That's why I also wish we had Stassi back because she and Stassi had
You
each other.
know?
She
Yep.
needs somebody. And that's why they bring Christina on sometimes. Like she needs somebody on her side, on the Katie side.
Yeah, and also somebody who really knows Katie, somebody who is able to say, like, "I not only know Katie, but I see her. I feel her, and this is how she actually is." So, yeah, I do agree with that.
Oh God. Rachel, and Raquel was like horrible to Katie. Fucking
Yeah,
horrible. I
yes,
I hold a
but
lot of resentment towards Rachel for
me
Katie also.
too. I'm glad you brought that up because we've never talked about this, and I am such a girl's girl. Like, I am so, like, all men could pretty much fall off the face of the earth. I'm cool if it's just women here. Like, that bothered me so, so deeply in the sense of, you're a woman yourself.
Yeah.
Like, put yourself in her shoes. But again, empathy has to come into play, and I will say this all the time. Empathy is not an intrinsic trait. I do believe some people need to be shown what empathy is. They need to maybe role play a little to understand it.
Yeah. Wait, Tom Sandoval.
Yep.
Um, yeah, but I want everybody to go look. If you didn't notice her face at the end of that scene, I almost like want to do a slow-mo video. Maybe I'll do a slow-mo video and I'll post this on Monday. So after the podcast comes out. And look at the girl's face and how she looks down and she's sad because she's not understood. And it just breaks my heart. Breaks my Did you see her face at the end?
Yeah. And
Okay.
again, like nonverbals, right? Meaning nothing was said, just like a facial expression.
Mhm.
Oh my God. Yes. Like that hit.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I read a mini novella based on that face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then Sheena's just basically, like, frozen sitting there. Rachel?
People that say that Sheena's not empathetic, and I don't agree with that. I think that Sheena is empathetic, and I think that's why she struggles so much.
I think Sheena is very empathetic. Oh, well, about Sheena, though, it was quite interesting how quiet she was at the girls' night. She did not speak up and say anything to Ariana, and it was like Lala was, like, her mouthpiece there.
You felt like Lala was Sheena's mouthpiece.
Well, Lala was speaking for Sheena. Like, Sheena did not say anything
But
to.
do you feel like Sheena needed that because she has maybe tried to express herself and it hasn't worked? So maybe Lala felt like, as her friend, I want to do this for her.
Yeah, I guess she
I
did.
just felt like her approach was not, it did not hit, but
Lala shouldn't have to do that for Sheena, though. Like, this is Sheena's having an issue with saying what she really feels and going back and forth in her head so much, which I know we'll get to. But her plan was to go over there and tell her, though. That's what she had discussed with Lisa.
very true, very true.
But speaking of Lisa, you wanted to talk about it?
I just feel like a lot of people don't feel like Sheena could be empathetic because it's always about her, it's always about her, but I don't. I do think that Sheena's super empathetic, and I also think that she's very hypersensitive. The two can exist. We have to understand dualities, and I also think that's why she gets labeled a flip-flopper, but regardless of the whole flip-flopping, I do think that she feels things very maybe differently or in a different manner, and I don't know, I think that when she was talking with Lisa about Dancing with the Stars, I think that that was real. I really genuinely think that she was maybe taken aback a little, especially because she said she was finding things out. You know, I think she mentioned this on the after show, but Sheena was like, I'm finding these things out from like online, like with
Mhm.
everyone else. That would also make me sad. If
Yeah.
I'm your best friend, why am I finding out as I scroll? Why aren't you coming to me, sharing that news with me? Because you know I want to celebrate that with you.
Yeah. I did hear, though, that Ariana signed an NDA, which is obviously something you have to do. So I don't know if that was why. But how do you feel about that? If you sign an NDA, would you still tell your best friend? I don't know. I probably would.
I
Oops.
mean, I'm like, "Wait, like, off the record? Yeah."
Right. Well, off the record, I'd be having a Dancing with the Stars party in my house with my closest friends and family. But I could see how she's very by the book and wouldn't be telling her. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, but I mean, let's be real. I mean, I'm if it's one of my best friends, I'm like low key like coding to them, you know?
Yeah. It's so funny though, because last week I went really hard for explaining Sheena, and I still completely agree with what you're saying. And I completely empathize. Like, those are her feelings. She can 100%, like Ariana said on Watch What Happens Live too, right? Like, be sad for herself, but feel happy for her friend. But Ariana said she was hurt by it. And let me tell you, I really did not like that freaking comment in the confessional with Sheena when she was like, and like, good for her. I mean, she has come such a long way from being like my backup dancer.
Okay, that part I could understand where the general public had a problem with that.
Oh my God, that drove me nuts because Sheena, here's the thing. I realized what happens with Sheena. Okay. I'm going to tell you this, what I put together. You tell me if it makes sense or not.
Okay,
I think that what happens with Sheena is she will feel really strongly about something, right? She'll feel one way. And then people will say things and things get in her head. And this is where I think the
yep,
OCD might come into play. It's not excusing her, but absolutely this part can 100% be OCD. Then she'll start to get things in her head and question the way she's really feeling, question this and question that, blah, 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 blah. And then she'll flip the script. She's very like black and white. And then she'll flip the script, and all of a sudden it's the other way, and she'll go hard in the other way. And I feel like that's what happened with Ariana. She rode hard for Ariana in the beginning. Then, because Ariana wasn't giving her, I guess, everything that she needed, and people were saying things, now all of a sudden Ariana's like, I mean, she's kind of back on it a little bit. I'll explain. But now all of a sudden she's against Ariana more and like making comments and petty comments about Ariana because those confessionals were filmed not too long ago. So all of a sudden she's coming after Ariana because she's not giving her what she wanted or maybe even what she needed. So don't forget again that confessional is filmed months after they filmed the actual episode, right?
yeah,
So she's gonna have new feelings after that, and it looks like she changed over time and then was against Ariana. And I started seeing her going against Ariana a little bit more November, December, January. But it's so strange. And that's the part about Sheena that I feel like she really needs to work on because it's not you don't need to be like all or nothing. And she kind of did the same thing with Katie. Like she was like, I really want to be Katie's best friend. And then Katie wasn't giving her all the attention or whatever that she needed. And then all of a sudden she was like straight against Katie and she wanted Raquel to hook up with Schwartz.
yeah. No, exactly. And I also think that we have to remember, I'm sorry, but like I personally would feel a certain type of way. I don't know if I want to say always, but like Katie absolutely to some capacity must have some sort of underlying feeling towards Sheena about that. No?
How could you
How
not? She's
not?
letting
That's
it go because Sheena
yes.
apologized. But yeah, how could you not? And honestly, I feel like Katie has shown Sheena grace many times throughout the years. Um, so I thought about it. I'm like, why is she going now, seeming to go more for Sandoval? Okay. And this is what I realized. Okay. We heard her say that Sandoval gave her money, supported her. We've heard a lot of people say he's always been there for everyone. He's paid people's rent, he's paid dinners for people, he's gotten people jobs, he's done a lot of shit for people. I think she might have started thinking, Ariana's not going to be there for me as much as Sandoval would be there for me. Ariana's doing her own thing. She's getting all these other shows. Is she even going to stay on Vanderpump Rules? She doesn't want to film with Sandoval. Is it better for me to stay with Sandoval?
Right.
And then decide that she was going to keep that relationship more with Sandoval, even though she went hard against freaking Sandoval, hard against him in the beginning. She decided, okay, I'm not going to like cut those ties with Sandoval because it seems like he'll be there for me. Do I agree with that? Probably not. Don't forget, Sandoval told her he wasn't even her friend. I kind of do agree with Katie, where I think that Sandoval appreciates his relationship with Sheena. It means something to him. But I do think that it means more to her than it does to him.
Agreed. I was just about to say, can you appreciate and value are those two different like can you appreciate something but not value it in the way that it's necessarily needing to be valued?
That's an excellent statement. I think so. Yes, for sure.
Like I don't know if the two are synonymous, you know?
Yeah, I don't think they are. And you can care about somebody but not put enough effort in with them.
Right. Correct, right. Like, I could tell you I care about you so much, but then, like, if my actions and efforts aren't, like, matching, I feel like it becomes a little confusing then.
And so, like, what is she getting from Sandoval, though? Is it more of the opportunities? Is it more of the security? Or does she really feel like there is more of a friendship there? But why does she have to go so hard on either side?
See, I
Future
don't know because she did mention at that, I don't know if you wanna call it a lunch, brunch, dinner, whatever, when the girls, Lala, all of them were there. She did say, Sandoval was, like, one of the first people to, like, invite me into a photo. Clearly, that means something, and she's clearly holding on to it. Like, that was a big deal for her, and I don't wanna deny that, you know what I mean, or invalidate that. As somebody who was picked always last for things, I know that that would mean something to me, and I would definitely hold on to that maybe a little bit more than others who had different experiences in their life.
Right, but remember, that's for a show. I'm only playing devil's advocate here to play devil's advocate. That's for the
Yeah.
show, right?
Yes. Yes. No, no, great point, yes.
So that's what I mean. Is she thinking who's gonna benefit her life more?
Oh, but then that makes me think, oh, sorry, but you saying that makes me then think. So has Sheena just been kind of under this, I don't want to say facade, but like in her friendship with Sandoval, has it just been show based for TV? And is she maybe having a difficult time discerning, is he really my friend? Is he doing this just for the show? Like, where are his intentions truly stemming from?
Exactly. I think it's really hard for her to know what she really feels. Like, I don't even think it's just a situation of her not facing what she really feels. I think it's hard for her to know what she really feels. And again, not to blame that on OCD, but I will tell you, as somebody with OCD, it is a harder thing when you do have the disorder. Like I said in that OCD episode, it's called the doubting disorder for a reason. And I have to say, I am playing the devil's advocate. I think he truly cares about her. I do. And I think Ariana truly cares about her. I do. But I don't know, honestly, that either of them are there as her day to day friends. Like, I don't know if I see that with either of them for Sheena.
Okay. And
Not
also
not
even
the
what Sheena
show.
said
What?
with what Sheena said too in the after show with like, well, I text Ariana, but I just feel like she's a little bit busy for me.
Yeah. I don't think they've ever had the close relationship that was maybe shown on TV. I think they're really close, but it's kind of like really I mean, see my coworkers are like my best friends. However, um some coworkers who I used to work with and like be best friends with while we were working, we still wouldn't see each other in the summer, like being a teacher. Or a couple years later, if we went to a different school, like we wouldn't get together. We would like check in every once in a while, but like not really. Like you can be really close to somebody while you're working and love them. Like just because you do a show with somebody doesn't mean it's only for the show. Like you can love them, but are they your day-to-day person that you tell your deepest, darkest too. Do you know
So
what
when I
I'm saying?
first started watching, I definitely thought that I was under the pretense it was like that. And then
Right.
as, the show unfolded, social media came out, I started to realize, wait, they kind of just filmed together, but I don't know if they're actually like genuine friends?
Yeah.
Friendship is, I feel like an umbrella in itself. Everybody has a different
It's a
experience.
spectrum,
You know
right?
what, right. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like I did think that if they were filming together, they were best friends, meaning they were in the know of their everydays and things like that. And then I started to realize, oh wait, it's actually not like that.
Yeah. And like we said, like that's okay. You're even your best friends, like you don't have to talk to them day to day. Your really good friends, you don't have to talk to them day to day. But so that's where I'm like, I don't know why she feels like she has to be so almost like curt towards one of them at any given time. And that's where I do think OCD may be coming into play there. Her OCD saying like, maybe Ariana's really not my friend. Maybe he's right. Maybe everybody's right. Maybe she's not there for me. Blah, 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 blah. Or saying, with the Sandoval, okay, Sandoval was never my friend. What was I wrong this whole time? I was wrong. I think she just tends to go off in those patterns of thinking, possibly because of her OCD. And again, I don't know if that's what it is, but as somebody with OCD, I can see how that is a possibility. But I do think now Lala and Sheena are like the day to day friends. No, I think I know they are. They
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
They're always together. Their girls are like best friends. They
And
have
I do
houses
think
next to
that
each other.
Katie and Ariana are too.
Yeah, I think Katie and Ariana are much closer now too, and I hope it keeps getting closer. I think Ariana's best friends like, true best friends are Brad,
Yep.
Meredith, right? Brad and Meredith, definitely her friend from home, and Logan. Um, but I think those are her, like, true blue, as we say over here, like, those are the people who she really is with, you know what I mean? Like, we're constantly communicating with about the most important things.
Right. Like
I th
real life things. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Scheana loves her, and I think she loves Scheana. They say it, and I know they do, but I think that Scheana was kind of like, "Is Ariana leaving me? Is she" maybe Scheana has, like, a maybe Scheana has a maybe Scheana has a, complex about that shit. Like,
Ooh, I never thought about that.
yeah, is this
Like, why
person
didn't Ariana open up a restaurant with me?
yeah, do I just not mean as much to them that as they mean I wonder if that's almost what happened with Shay too, because the whole Shay thing was always weird to me, like, super weird, and I was like, "What?" That was so fucked up the way I feel like the way they show or portrayed her dealing with Shay seemed so
Right?
although I think there's a lot they didn't show us because
Agreed.
there's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
um, but it was very strange, and I wonder if she kind of, like, once she thinks somebody doesn't care for her, she'll, like, shut them out more mentally. Huh.
Yeah. No, I could see that. And I'd actually never thought about. See, this is why I love talking with you.
Yeah, it's cool
Because
to
I'm
think
just
about.
like, wait, I never thought about that from
Yeah.
that way. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right. Like, Sheena always wants to be loved. She always wants to be loved, and I think she's always been looking for the people to love her, and I have to say, I really like Brock for Sheena. I like them together even though I
Me,
know they fight.
I do. But you know what? I have to say, yes, they fight, but I actually think that they have productive conversations.
I think so too.
I mean, personally, from my experience in relationships, I'm like, okay, they clearly care about each other. I do think that they want to get to an end goal. I just think that they need more practice in their communication. But I
Yeah.
can see them getting there.
Yeah, no, I think they'll be okay. I like that he signed the house over to her, like, that shows that he's not just in it for the money. I know people, like, make fun of the whole, what's it called thing? The, freaking Nick Vile comes after Sheena so hard, it's so terrible, it's, like, beyond awful the way he comes after her, he's made merch about her, about the, what's the husband term? Payroll husband?
Yes, sorry. I was
Um,
like, wait, it's on the tip of my tongue.
yeah, I mean, I personally love that Brock, like, really helps and I know he has his issues with his kids, I think we talked about this in another podcast, I don't know if it made it to the air, though. But I love that he's, like, Mr. Mom. It should be
Yeah,
Mr.
me.
Dad, but to
Yes.
yeah, right?
No,
But
because I think that our society has a very twisted and rigid expectation or idea. So I'm very happy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, let him take care of the kid, let her go be the breadwinner. Why do people care about that? There are women who stay home with the babies all the time. Like, let the man fucking do it. And he still works. It's not like he doesn't work.
Yes. And that's the whole thing too. He does still work.
Just
Yeah.
because he's not rich, bitch. Like, what do you expect? Annie Leaks.
Yes. Yep.
I love her. I miss that girl. Um speaking of never mind. All right, I'm gonna get too off topic. I was just thinking Atlanta's coming back and I'm actually gonna watch it this year. I don't know if Phaedra's still on it, but I'm obsessed with Phaedra. Fucking love Phaedra. I think Kim is supposed to come back. So let's talk about Lala and Ariana because that was a interesting scene to me when they were walking outside of where they got drinks together. And Lala says to Ariana, why don't you just put up a post for Sheena? And Ariana's like, well, I just don't want to it be out there like in the headlines and out there everywhere. And Lala's like, well, why not? Like, it's your friend. Don't you want to do it to your friend? Like,
And I felt like
yeah,
that was
yeah.
such a valid point too. Like, hey, this isn't just a rando that you film a show with. Like, that's your friend.
Right. It was her friend. And it seems like she didn't really think to do it, which I don't think a lot of people would think. I shouldn't say I don't think a lot of people. I don't know how many of them would think to do that. I feel like they don't do that too often, like defend each other publicly or write a statement publicly like that. But I did. We talked about this. I think it was really nice for Lala to stick up for Sheena like that. And that moment I agreed with. However, what I didn't agree with, and we've talked about this before, is Ariana says to Lala, I'm not the person to come to with the Sandoval sympathy train. And I think we both completely agree with that statement.
Yeah, that's fair. That part, yes, fair.
Like, this is somebody who, and expressed to Lala, which I thought was great, that she was afraid that everyone would just, Sandoval would get everybody. back in his good graces, and then ice Ariana out of the group.
I mean,
Makes sense to me that she would fear that.
I feel like that's a very valid fear.
Yeah. But funny, I don't actually think he would do that because he's, like, so about the show. And think about with Kristen, even, like, we found out from Kristen ended up, like, trying she didn't accept it, but trying to pay her for when rather than being paid for each whole episode, she got downgraded to a day rate instead of an episodic rate. So, I don't know if he would have done that, but I could totally understand her fear of that, especially Ariana, I feel like I could see her, like, thinking that way.
Yeah, and, like, I don't know much obviously about, like, day rate versus episodic rate, but, like, I know that there is a big difference in it, and, like, that's a big deal, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably like a few hundred verse.
I would imagine. I did, like, an extra role for, like, a Netflix thing, and my daily rate, I don't even remember what it was. I was like, "Wait, what?" I know I was just an extra, but still, I was like, "That's, like, really, really low." Like,
Yeah,
so that's why I'm like, "Okay, that changes their whole quality of life too," you know what I mean? There's, like, a lot of anxiety there.
absolutely. I felt like this scene gave a lot of insight into Ariana, and I totally understand why she's just afraid to give up her friends to him and why we already know she wants to keep the boundary, and I respect that boundary. I'd be doing the same freaking thing. I get her not wanting him to have access to her life because then it's like your ex is still involved in your life, you know?
And
But
around. I feel like she sees it as, like, this gnat that she just can't, like, shoo away, and it makes sense.
yeah, it does. So I thought that was good that we got some more insight into how Ariana is really feeling because I just feel like this season has been missing that.
Yeah,
And
exactly. I was like, "Finally, we get some Ariana on the screen."
yes, and like a meaningful scene. We're just going to take a quick break to give a shout out to our friend Peyton. She is Glorified Gossip Girl on Instagram. Right now, her account is down because of weird rules that don't make sense. So please go follow her backup at Glorified Gossip Girl, but with a U for the girl. And she also is Glorified Vintage Girl. She does amazing work. A lot of Bravo Lebs wear her and order from her, including Ariana Madix, Danielle Vera, Katie Maloney. Go check her out and support her. Her website is on her IG page, or it's www.distressedout.myshopify.com. She is a super hard worker. She's great at what she does, and she's an amazing person as well. And now back to the pod. Okay, so then another thing that we saw in the episode is that Rachel blocked Sandoval. And
Yes.
Sandoval was very surprised that Rachel and Lisa had talked, and he was super emotional about it. How did you feel?
I felt like he was jaded that, like, he didn't know this information from, like, or that he was finding it out from Lisa. Like, I feel like the impression it gave me was he was like, "I wish I could have found that out from Rachel," you know?
Yeah. It's, like, so crazy because I truly think he really, like, made this, like, pretend love story between him and Rachel in his head. Like, I truly
Me
think he
too.
actually felt he loved her.
Me too. Yes, but I think that he, like, created way more than what actually was. But again, that goes back to, like, I am so interested to know Tom's reality.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard not to have that reality, though, if, like, I don't know, they're both, like, super into each other, I guess.
And she definitely was, like, absolutely into him.
Okay, so the other thing the other thing that happened in this episode, which it was just there because they needed to film something, I think, was the boys going to was it the Brazilian steakhouse for dinner?
Okay, wait,
Um
yeah. I have to ask you, do you
Mhm.
remember what Schwartz said about who has to pay the bill?
Oh, yeah.
Were you kind of taken aback? I have never heard Schwartz say the word, like, pussy like that.
Oh, I feel like he probably uses that language a lot.
I was like, "Schwartz, what is going on?"
Oh,
I don't
you have
I
a
don't
vision of Schwartz in your head of sweetness.
Oh my god, I totally do.
Can we talk about your crush on Schwartz, or are you not ready for this?
What do you mean? I will totally talk. First off, who doesn't have a crush on Schwartz? That's what I will say. Like, I think he's just a crushable type of person.
Um,
No? Is it just me?
no, I love Schwartz, but I really don't like we talk about this, how he was with Katie. I mean, I love Schwartz. I don't have a crush on Schwartz. I more like would be Schwartz's friend. Like
Okay, but here's
I
the
would
thing.
love to be Schwartz's friend and like kiss his cheeks. Like be like, "Oh," like that.
Okay, but same. Like, same here. I'm compartmentalizing. I have the biggest crush on him, but that's it. It's just a crush. Like, I do not think that he has been a good partner. I question his ability to be a good friend at times, but I just think he's crushable.
Did you tell me you had a dream about Schwartz, or was that me who had the dream? I can't remember now.
No, you had a I haven't I don't remember my dreams because of the weed.
Did you take weed tonight? Have weed tonight?
No, when you say take
I
it.
know, I never know what to say. What do you say
I
again?
know, I love you, I love you.
What do you
Uh,
say?
like, you would say, like, "Did you smoke weed?"
Oh,
But,
eat
um,
weed?
no, but just, like, in general, like,
Wait,
because,
what do you mean? Because of the weed?
oh my god, like, I don't ever dream, like, I don't remember my dreams.
Oh, you don't smoke weed every night though, do you?
Not every night, but, like, I smoke enough where, like, I definitely don't remember my dreams.
Oh my
Like, that is the thing, like,
gosh.
I mean, I would say okay, so, like, typically, I definitely smoke on the weekends for sure, and, like, maybe once or twice during the week. If I have a very stressful day, I will, but, like, because of that, because it's been years, I don't it's far and few between. If I'm sick, I will remember my dream. If not, it's difficult.
Can I say something to you?
Yeah.
This is why people used to always call me mother and then my last name. I'm worried about your lungs. Can you just do edibles?
Oh, I don't always smoke though. Yeah, yeah, I do edibles, I have my little beverages.
Okay, I
I'm
don't
not
want your
like
lungs.
that's the other thing. I'm using smoke as like a umbrella term,
Okay, gotcha.
but like no, if I'm even it's just funny because I'm like laughing that you said take, but I don't even know how I would say it to somebody. Like I would
Right.
say like, "Oh, I did. I did an edible.
Okay,
Oh,
you did.
I had a beverage. I smoked." You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
But you're so sweet, and yes, I totally hear you, and obviously with my profession with the lungs, I know what I'm doing, but it's more of like that what is it? A guilty pleasure. It's a guilty pleasure for
yeah,
sure. But
yeah.
yeah, no, there's so many ways that you could utilize the benefits of THC.
Okay, but you don't remember your dream. It's funny because I remember every fucking dream, like, almost
I
every
know, and I'm always jealous of people that don't smoke because of that. I really,
well,
really am.
don't be jealous, I hate it. I literally hate actually, every once in a while when I don't have dreams, I'll be like for, like, a night, I'll be like, "Wait, that's weird. Why didn't I have a dream?" But they say you sleep deeper when you remember your dreams, which is strange because I don't sleep deep.
Well, that's the other thing. Somebody once told me, they were like, "You're not going into REM then." And I was like, "Really?" But
Yeah.
I think I'm going into REM. I just don't think I'm remembering my dream.
Hmm,
But
interesting.
I don't know. We need to look this I'm gonna look this up actually. I'm very
Look
curious now
yeah.
to research
Um,
it.
anyway, I have no idea how this came up.
But anyway, because we were talking about, my crush on Schwartz and how I see him as like
Oh.
it's like I don't want to say goody two shoes, but I was surprised. I was like, did he just say whoever doesn't finish is a pussy? I was like, what? I
Oh.
can't see him saying that.
That's so funny. I didn't even think anything of it at all. And
It
then
was just
he,
like
of course, he did it. He was the first one to do it.
and I thought that was so funny. I was like, "Wait, you're the one that said that?" And okay.
I have to say with James, we have all the James allegations. Again, we're still waiting to hear more because it just goes out there and then it just stops and like nothing happens. And I'm just like, if you're not going to say anything, then I'm going to keep just
Moving on, right.
judging James as I'm seeing him right now. Um, but the James, it's so interesting to me how much oh my God, we didn't talk about Joe.
Wait a second, I have to tell you something. That
What?
is one of my favorite places to go where they went.
Sir? What are you talking about? Oh, the beer
No.
place? Oh,
Yes!
okay.
It's
All right, all right.
so cute. It's an old Firestone building that they turned into a brewery.
Okay, let me get back to that and then we'll go to Joe
Okay.
because otherwise we're too unfocused.
Yes, agreed.
Um
I can't. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
Okay. It's interesting to me how much James needs again, this is why I then feel for him with this, needs somebody to love him, just like Scheana needs somebody to love her. Like, James wants Sandoval so bad to just really be there for him. And now that brings us to the sunglasses, and we're gonna have to get to Joe here. But when Sandoval gave him the sunglasses, what did you think of that?
I'm sorry.
Are
Are
you
you
still
ready
laughing?
for this?
What?
Wait, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, on my TikTok live, I out loud said, "He's going to gift these to James. Just watch." 5 seconds later, he gifted them, and everyone in my live was like, "Oh my god, you just called that, you just called that." And I'm like, "Yes, because I'm looking at behaviors at the beginning of the season." When
Yeah.
he met up with Schwartz, what did he get him? A new pair of
Shoes.
sneaker right, exactly. So it's like, listen, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, I'm sorry, I have to call it a duck.
Yeah. And he does that thing. I don't know if somebody talked about this. We talked about this in my house, and then I don't know if somebody talked about this on the after show. I think James talked about it, but he reminded me of somebody I know who kinda does the same thing. He was looking at the sunglasses, and then he's like, "Oh, you want it?" Like, come on. It was so obvious what he was gonna do, and I do think it's like so here's the thing. Part of it could be manipulation. And then the other part of it that I was thinking about you, because the last time you said his love language is, like, could be gift giving, which is true. It could be, like,
I
the total
don't wanna
assholes.
deny right,
What?
I don't wanna deny that at all because it could be, but we also have to look at the other parts of it, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah. It could be total manipulation, or it could be it could be a little bit of both too.
Can the 2 exist? This is why I'm saying, can everyone, like, understand dualities? Because I don't wanna deny like, what if
Well,
that really is his love language is gift giving, but in the same breath, he also is manipulative?
right, manipulative and manipulation is a spectrum too. There's, like, manipulation where it's, like, purposeful in order to abuse, right? And then there's manipulation, which is, like, unintended, I think is what I would say manipulation, and it's, like, people not even realizing that they're kinda manipulating the situation and not doing it in a
And,
malicious
like, their
way.
intention isn't to be manipulative, right?
Right. So, there's different types, I feel like, and I don't know what that was, but it was just interesting, and it was so funny because James was so happy in that moment, but in the after show, he really went off about Sandoval with the glasses. I don't know if he was, like, trying to make it seem like it was all cool in the after show and didn't actually watch that scene before. Actually, I don't think he did watch that scene before they talked about it, or if the after show was like, he's mad at Sandoval again, and he just looks at him as an asshole now.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to, but yes.
Or maybe talking to Allie because Allie was, like, pointing. Allie is so good at pointing that shit out, I love her.
She is I feel like Allie, her third eye, is so focused and clear. She absolutely can see situations. I feel like Allie would have similar conversations with us.
Oh, I think that a little bit too, yeah.
Do
I
you know
wish
what
I
I
can
mean?
get her
Like,
on here.
I would love that. Allie, if you wanna come on, you could do a little, like, astrological chart reading
Oh
for us.
oh my god, I was actually thinking, can I message Allie and be like, "Allie, if we pay for a session, will you do it on our podcast?" Because I was thinking I wanted her to do a chart with me.
Wait, that is so funny. I absolutely have DM'd her before asking about a chart reading. I
You
absolutely
did?
have.
Did she respond?
Like, privately. No, 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 but she has she has responded to me before, but I know that she's probably getting an influx because she put up that, like, Calendly thing to schedule them.
Right, right, right.
But
Yeah.
that would be really, really cool. I think she would be open to that. I think we should give it a try. Why not? What's
Oh,
the
I
worst?
don't know. She's so good though about protecting James, I think, and making sure that she's very careful with what she does, like, in the
No,
public.
absolutely, but we could get maybe just, like, a private like, it could just be, like, a chart
Right.
for us. That would be cool.
That would be cool. So that'll be a gift to myself. Okay. All right. We could get it for a gift for each other, actually. That would be funny.
Yeah, no, like, literally, though, I was thinking that too.
um, but yeah, with the gift giving with Sandoval, I'm still trying to figure that one out because really so many people call him generous. And I'm like, I don't know if that many people can call him generous and have him not actually be generous. So we shall see. So we need to talk about Joe. First, let's talk about Joe there. Let's talk about Joe there. Um, oh, God. So I could just feel you thinking right now and like holding back
Oh
what are
my
you thinking?
god, you know me so well.
I know I can feel everything. Not everything, but I can
I'm
feel.
literally holding my lips shut with my fingers on my mouth.
Oh,
Yes.
really? I can feel it through the fucking virtual world. What were you gonna say?
Yeah.
Sandoval came in and she was like, Sandy's here.
Yes. Okay. Um, I do think, hear me out. I think that's her personality.
Yeah, it is her
I think
personality.
she would do that with anyone, regardless of what they've done,
I think
because
so.
I think she's the type of person that kind of just lives and isn't really thinking, and not in a bad way. I just don't think she's thinking about like the in, I have to say this, the optics of that person.
Right.
Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
yeah, I asked, like, what people think of Joe on my stories, and I've never gotten so many responses that said the word cringe, and that was fine. I expected them to be like, "Oh my god," because it was an "Oh my god," and I think us being educators, right, of some sort, or teacher, can I just say teachers? Do you care if I say that?
No, not at all. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I think us being teachers, we look at everyone so differently and behavior so differently, and I totally understood that type of behavior and personality, where they'll hate online about her, you barely even know her.
No, I know. And I just feel like also people don't do well with quirky because quirky is I'm just saying, quirky could be seen as maybe atypical, and people that
Yes,
are typical maybe don't know how to function around quirkiness.
I agree with you. I don't know if I think it's just quirkiness, though. I think it's a little bit more than quirkiness, but the way I see Joe is if I was friends with Joe in real life, I could probably only take Joe in smaller doses just because we're so different in our energies. I still need to know if she, like, I guess she knew that Sandoval and Brickell were banging,
Oh, that's
and
different. Okay.
that if that's the case, that will make me look at her differently. But I think she probably has this mentality of, like, kind of like hippie, like peace and love, like, "Oh, yeah, you know what? That's fine." Like, I think she kinda just, like, lets things go and just, like, sees each person and what they feel in the moment and just goes with that, like, how a person is in the moment. But at the same time, I really need to get to know her more before I formulate an opinion because I'm realizing and remembering through watching this season, I tend to pretty much agree with Katie on things, and I feel like if Katie doesn't like her, then I'm going to just wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Um, and then Joe with a date with Schwartz.
See, for me, that whole date was so cute. It was so quirky. Don't get it twisted. I also felt very bad because I do think that Joe actually had feelings, like deeper feelings for Schwartz than he did for her.
Yeah.
But I loved where they went. Absolutely. They have the brewery that they went to. I have been before. I enjoy it. And they have a great taco place inside called Chico's Tacos. Definitely check them out.
I was waiting for you to tell us, like, which food you'd like to get there 'cause you
Oh my god, it's so good. They have the best fish tacos because you know I don't eat meat, so, like, the fish tacos just they slap every time. Their nachos in general are fire. They
Oh
have the
my god,
street
you can't say
corn.
fish and slap in the same sentence for me. Please, use a different term. It's like I just picture
Stop, I know.
okay,
Okay.
say something else.
The fish tacos are so good. They just hit
Please.
every single time. And
Oh, okay.
have you ever had street corn?
Mexican tree corn?
Yes.
I feel like I've had it because I've admired it so much on social media, but I have
Okay.
never had it.
Okay, only because 'cause I'm being so serious. From the East Coast, like, specifically on Long Island, I never had that before, and then when I moved out to Los Angeles, it's very popular and it's so good. It's
Mm.
really, really good. So, I tried that there for one of the first times, and I was like, "What is this magic in my mouth? Oh my god, it's so
Well,
good." So,
that sounds
definitely check,
fabulous.
what did I say something that was
No, I just said that sounds fabulous. You didn't say anything, you're just
Wait,
funny the way.
also, you have Trader Joe's near you?
Alright, can you not go so off topic? We're not gonna start talking about street corn right now.
No, because I want you to make it. Trader Joe's sells it in a bag. It's very good. It's like, I'm sorry. But either way, the date, the food, all that. Their behaviors though were so cute to me. I was like, this is so, so cute.
It's funny you described it as cute. I thought it was this fun. It was funny. To me, as soon as I saw it, I had to make this video. I'll post this video. I made it, but I didn't post it yet. I have to, like, finish it. Remind me so much of and my favorite show, The Office, when Michael Scott is with Holly and he's like, do you know what I'm talking about? When he's talking to Holly, they're like, and she says the Yoda
Yes.
thing. Hold
Shut
on, I have to
up.
get the line right. Hold on.
Wait, stop. That is literally spot on.
It's spot the fuck
Exactly.
on.
Yes. Yes. That is such a good comparison though. For real, Ro.
Okay, I got it now. So when he's coming up to Holly and he's like, "Oh, how do you sit on the floor like that?" And she's like, "Yoga." And he's like, "Yo, duh. Sit on floor and put together chair we will." And then she's just staring at him and then she's like, Pass curvy metal piece, you will. And that moment, like, literally, they were freaking Michael Scott and Holly. That was them.
Yep. No, truly, that's fucking hysterical.
But yeah, they're just so funny, like, like, they're just so they're like the same person, which is why they cannot be in a relationship together.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, you
See, I
think they could
thought,
be in a relationship? I think they would be in the most out of
oh my god,
control.
I think it would be like bread and butter, no?
No, so Holly and Michael were different because they're Holly and Michael, they're everything. But it reminded me of them, but no, I don't think they're bread and butter. I think they're like butter and butter. Or I think they're like Pop Rocks and cola. Like, I don't know. Like, they're like Michael and Holly in the way that they communicated and the weird way that they communicated, but I don't think it would work because remember, Holly was also like super serious everywhere else. So it's just very different.
See, no, no, no. I'm thinking about this right now because my initial thought was like, wait, this absolutely could work, but I get what you're saying. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah,
almost
you think
you're
it could work?
yeah, because they're on each other's level.
Oh, yeah, I just get best oh, I think Allie even said it, right? I get best friend vibes. Those are the vibes I get. I get best friend
And
vibes.
also, I feel like Joe is a little bit more like emotional than maybe some of his past partners. I could see it working. I did.
You know what? You saw in that preview, like, for what's gonna happen on the season, when Schwartz asked Katie, "Would you think about a one night stand?" And I'm like, I replayed this scene in my crazy head all the time, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm so glad to see this." But I guess she's gonna say no, but she might say yes. What's gonna happen? And also, oh, some tea if you didn't hear a previous episode, that she is going to hook up with Max Boyens, that is. So the one that we saw on the season with Scheana and Dana. He was with Dana. Remember, she put his necklace in the toilet because she was pissed at him. I love Dana. Yeah, but when does that happen in relation to this? It had to have happened before, actually, because this is the finale trip. So did that push Tom? Was Tom like, I don't want him to ever, like, I want her back. I don't know. I'm sure her and Max was literally nothing more than a hookup, but still.
Oh, maybe.
So, yeah, I just feel like Schwartz is he's still in love with Katie. I don't care what anybody tells me. He's still in love with Katie.
Oh my gosh, yes. I personally feel like Schwartz will, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I just feel like he will always feel she is the one that got away.
And she said that. And then, yeah, he held his hand out to her. I think that car ride that he holds his hand out, I think that's when they were in San Francisco, and I was about to say San Fran, and I got beat up online for saying San Fran. I did not know that it is not San Fran. If you are from San Francisco, you are very upset by San Fran. So I'm going to say San Francisco, a whale's vagina. I got used to saying it.
Queen is
Oh,
gonna
no.
hate
No,
us.
that's San Diego. That's San Diego, not San Francisco.
Nat is gonna hate us.
Wait, don't keep saying her name. San Francisco. Francisco. Hold on. I need to look up. I need to look up the. It's not etymology. What's the word from San
What?
Francisco? Hold on. Is it my favorite Francisco Coronado or no? No, it's Saint Francis. I sound so stupid.
What was the other word you just said? What is edamame?
Etymology? Is that how do you say it?
I don't
Etymology.
know what you're
Oh,
saying.
it's
I don't
like
know
the
what it is.
root it's the root, of a word. It's like where it came from. It's etymology.
I should know that word, but
Oh my god, that's so funny. Hold on, I'm crying. Give me a second. Alright, okay, anyway, so it is not San Fran. It is also not a Welsh vagina. It's just San Francisco. It's just San Francisco.
I can't when you say whale's vagina.
Wait, you know what that's from, right? You know what that's from? Did you not watch this movie? Because I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna
No,
cry. My
start crying.
favorite. Wait, did you not watch that movie? It's like what he's my favorite actor of all time, maybe. Do you know what it's from?
Start crying because I literally thought you were just saying Lil's vagina. And I'm like, I love her. I don't know why she.
It's from Anchorman.
Oh man,
You've
no!
never
I
seen
saw it.
Anchorman?
No. I saw it once, and I was like 13, and I never watched
Oh
it again, so I wouldn't
shit.
remember that. And I was like, why is Rose?
This 10-year age gap is getting harder and harder.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, is this a term I don't know? Maybe like let's 86 it or something. I don't know.
Oh
Maybe
my
it's a
god.
term.
Ron Burgundy. I cannot believe you don't know that line. Okay, no, you have to watch Anchorman again. He said they named it Santiago, which of course in German means a whale's vagina. So stupid. It's like a stupid line, but so great also. All right, anyway, my point is this fucking San Francisco, okay? And
Yes,
he was
yes.
holding his hand out to Katie because I guess he was so used to it, or it was just like in the moment, like, I love you, let him put your hand out. I thought that was so weird. Did you see that?
But like, okay. I definitely have a different point of view of this because they were in a partnership for so long. I understand it.
Yeah, no, it's not a different point of view. I think that's the same point of view.
Okay, wait. I thought you were saying it was weird.
I mean, it is weird, I think, because they're divorced, but it was like he still loves her. Or you
Okay,
think it was
because
just habitual?
I was like, I don't think. I misunderstood what you
No,
were.
do you think it was just habit? Because that's what I
Um,
was thinking a little bit.
I think it's habit, and I also think it really is his nature with her.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, I'm not sure, but when they got out of the car, that might have been the car ride, which was so sweet, where Katie was singing Torn by Natalie Imbruglia, of course, whose hair everybody was saying her haircut looked like, which was true. And I posted a video of it. I'll repost it after they show this. Katie was singing, and he was filming her on his phone. Do you say filming when it's your phone? Recording her, whatever, with her consent. And
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I love you.
and she was singing, and he was recording her like a proud other, like a proud significant other, and it was
Yeah,
so cute, and I love that freaking moment. Did you ever see that video?
it was very like it was just tender. I felt like that was a very tender moment.
Tender is a great word for it, like a delicious nugget. Yes, it was a tender moment. That's a perfect word for it. So, I don't know what's gonna go on. Are they just gonna get married and have kids? I think that's what's gonna happen one day. Oops, I said it.
I mean, like, okay, between us, I always want them to work. I am hopeful in my little twisted head. I'm like, listen, they just need time apart and they will get back together. But I don't know if that's just me and I want to believe love
Only
is
if he
real and all that.
only if he, like, really steps the fuck up and he protects her at all costs.
Yes,
He has to
yeah,
look at her as, like, precious cargo that he protects the shit out of.
correct. And I agree with that. The reason why I'm a little bit more hopeful though is because I do feel like this season at least, yes, is he making a lot of out of pocket comments towards Ariana? Sure. But in the same breath, right? He also is making comments where I'm like, Tom, I think you've been working on yourself.
Yeah, oh, he has. But did Tom and Katie go to couples therapy, or did he not wanna go?
Ugh, see that I feel like if they did, they went like to one session and talked about it, and then it wasn't really spoken about after, so I don't know.
Yeah.
If here's the thing though, I think, and I would love to know your thoughts on this, what help does it do if couples go unless the couples are individually getting their own help?
Okay, and I don't know if we've said this before, but it's not as helpful at all.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like I and I'm not downplaying it. If you and your partner are going to couples therapy and not individually, I also want to congratulate that and I would like to acknowledge that because I think that that's awesome. But I also think it's that much more awesome if you get your own individualized help.
Yes.
Because then
Round
you
of
can come
applause.
together and be like a stronger team, you know?
Yeah, I agree. No, you definitely individual and couples is like
Yeah, that's
m
like the recipe.
the magic recipe, that's what it is, thank you. Just said magic, my daughter loves that show.
Right.
Um, Olivia Sanabia and Aubrey Miller, if you're listening, which you're not, but if you are, My daughter loves you so much, and you're not on Cameo. Can you please work something out where you can be on Cameo, or I could just pay you off on Venmo or something for you to send a message to her because she loves you. You're her
Oh, we
favorite
need
per
to get that to happen then. Yeah.
Oh, man, I wish. All right. Anyway, I think we about cracked. Okay, let's start closing this, but before we do, we just wanted to add some tea for you guys because we love sipping that tea. So they're filming reunion this Saturday. If you're listening to this episode should come out on Monday, and they would have filmed the reunion 2 days before, and it is expected to go long. It is expected to be a long one. And I did hear Joe will be there. But they're filming the reunion this early, guys. When they're only halfway through the season. They all got all the episodes, though. They've all been watched.
Until wait, another scandal breaks and then they pick up camera. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. I have heard that the season gets really good. So that's exciting. I mean, it looks that way. I feel like it's starting to get that way already.
Yes, because I feel like finally this episode, I was like, yes, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. We're here. So
Better.
hopefully it's a little spicier. Yeah.
Well, yeah, from what I heard, it will definitely get spicier. There's going to be dynamic changes between people. There's going to be some accusations. I hear it is eventful. So I'm sure the reunion is going to be pretty dramatic and ludicrous, dare I say. Okay, so I think we are all done for today. That was a lot. Thank you guys for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure to go on wherever you listen to podcasts and follow us. Leave us a review if you can.
And also, if you could follow us on social media, on TikTok, Instagram, that would be awesome. We love getting the feedback and we love our listeners.
Yeah. And we post a lot on our social medias about what we're talking about on the podcast. Okay. So thank you guys. We will see you later.
See you later.